The World Trade Organization (WTO) is an international organization that deals with international trade agreements as a platform for negotiation, agreeing, and eliminating conflicts in the terms and conditions of trade and service between member states. The WTO acts to prohibit trade discrimination between trading partners, but exceptions are made for environmental protection, national security, and other important goals. The WTO was established to replace the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. On January 1, 1995, it was headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. It currently has 164 member countries and territories. The WTO oversees a large number of subcontracts that have the status of international law. There are currently about 60 WTO mandate trade agreements. The most important and well-known are the General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. From GATT to WTO, the beginning of the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade (GATT) was born in the year 1944 during a meeting between the United States and its allies at Bretton Woods, USA. There is developing, meeting, and negotiation in many times. Finally, it is the result to establish the WTO as following. The first round on 1947 is Geneva Round. On 1949 is Annecy Round. On 1951 is Turkey Round. On 1956 is Geneva Round. On 1960 to 1961 is Dillon Round. On 1964 to 1967 is Kennedy Round. On 1973 to 1979 is Tokyo Round. On 1986 to 1993 is Uruguay Round. On 2001 to the present is Doha Round. Overall objectives are to help members use trade as a tool to raise their standard of living, create jobs, and help developing countries build trade capacity and hold trade deal negotiation for members to resolve trade issues. Besides, WTO helps to gradually liberalize international trade according to the availability of member states and the level of development of member states. The rules of the WTO require special treatment to developing countries, special and differential treatment S&D, to able to participate in the multilateral trading system. The WTO is a dynamic organization. There will be negotiation to develop and create new rules to be able to support the evolution of international trade and trade patterns. WTO has members about 164 countries. The structure of WTO is a global organization that has fixed policy and control about operating of countries that is WTO's member. They will be in order of importance as follows: Ministerial Conference, General Council, and Committee. In addition, there are also a special committee, special worker such as development environment and regional trade agreements. WTO has meetings that talk about problems and plan new policy, usually meet every 2 years. This meeting called Ministerial Meeting is the highest level decision of WTO. Subordinate operations include the General Council, which will be attended by the ambassador who is the permanent representative of Geneva and delegates set from the capital of member states. They meet several times a year at the WTO office. Besides, the General Council also be as the trade policy review body and the dispute settlement body. Next action, there will be a Council for Trade in Goods, Council for Trade in Services, and Council for Trade related to intellectual property rights by reporting to the General Council. It promoted the economic and trade cooperation among the member states, and WTO enabled trade to be carried out more fairly. It helps to resolve trade disputes between countries. Accelerating the international exchange of technology and intellectual property rights has played a positive role in the development of new products and the progress of science and technology. It is conducive to improving the living standards of people of the member countries and increasing employment. It is beneficial to improve the economic efficiency and reduce the cost of economic operation. Trade agreement management, national trade policy level, building trade capacity of developing countries. Cooperate with other international organizations. Monitor the international trade situation and arrange for regular review of the trade policy of member countries. Administer the agreement and 28 memorandums of understanding that resulting from negotiations in the framework of WTO through the Council and committees, and ensure that every action and trade are compliant with obligations. The first one, treat products that imported from every country as much as equally and treat imported goods in the same as national treatment. That is, once the goods have crossed the border, it must be treated in the same way that government treats locally produced goods. Second, to be fair, member states must be announced publish the rules on commercial measures to the public and to inform or clarify facts to other member states. Third, prohibited to use any kind of import restriction measures. Fourth, member states must not increase the tariff above the bound rate. If necessary to increase, there must be a discussion and compensation of benefits to damaged country. Fifth, prohibit member states from subsidizing production and export to the extent that it distorts market mechanism and allows members to use anti-dumping measures and countervailing duties. Sixth, in the case of an abnormally large amount of imports, member states can apply temporary safeguards and can limit the unusually large imports. 7. There should be trade groupings to reduce tariffs between each other if the objective is to expanding trade. 8. In the case of a trade conflict, let the parties consult and if unable to resolve, use the WTO process to settle disputes. 9. Grants developing countries special and differential treatment for LDCs. For the first one, country that is a member of the WTO has right for check standard of import product and they can set level of safety but must also match the international standard for protect trade barriers because each country will set their standard. Second, the WTO has this method of investigate and rule strictly for protect trade that isn't fairness. They also want each country to perform the same way. Third, WTO has set and divided type of subsidies into 3 types, including forbidden subsidies, subsidies that they can do it, and subsidies that they can do it but when they are doing, maybe suffer from countervailing measures. In addition to divided type of subsidies, WTO has set method of investigate for countervailing import product for each country to perform the same way.